Look at her. After everything, she still had the courage to come here.
She came for the will. Women like Aisha don't mourn poor men.
Poor? Please. She waited until Emeka died so she could collect what she failed to enjoy. I did not come for money.
Then why are you here?
Because I loved him.
Loved him? You?
You shameless girl. You entered my son's life when he was rich.
I entered his life when everybody else left. One day, the truth will answer all of you.
Excuse me.
Barrister, this is not the time.
Actually, madam, this is exactly the time.
What do you mean? Before Mr. Emeka Okafor died, he left instructions for the truth to be read immediately after his burial.
Before that rainy afternoon at the cemetery, before a dead man's will scattered an entire family, before the people who mocked Aisha discovered that they had been laughing at the only woman with a clean heart, there was Emeka Okafor. Emeka was the kind of man people respected before he even opened his mouth. He was young, wealthy, educated, confident. The only son of late Chief Okafor, a respected businessman whose properties stretched across Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt. From the outside, Emeka's life looked perfect. He had cars, he had influence, he had friends who called him brother. He had women who smiled differently whenever he entered a room. But what people did not know was that Emeka's life was surrounded by people who loved his comfort more than his soul. His mother, Mrs. Okafor, adored him loudly, but her love carried control inside it. His younger brother, Kelechi, called him Big Bro, with one hand on his shoulder and the other hand waiting near his pocket. His ex-girlfriend, Sandra, was beautiful, polished, and dangerous. She knew how to dress like loyalty while thinking like opportunity. And then there was Aisha. Aisha was not from a rich family. She was not flashy. She did not wear expensive human hair. She did not speak with forced accents. She did not enter a room expecting people to bow. She was simple, quiet, hardworking. She owned a small food business near a busy road in Ikeja, where office workers came every afternoon to buy rice, stew, plantain, and peppered chicken. That was where Emeka first met her. Not at a luxury event, not at a private lounge, not at a rich man's party. He met her while hiding from the noise of his own life. That day, his car had developed a fault near her shop. His driver had gone to get help. Emeka, irritated and hungry, walked into Aisha's small restaurant. He expected nothing special, but the moment Aisha served him food, something about her peace disturbed him. She did not recognize him. She did not flatter him. She did not rush to treat him like a celebrity. She simply placed the plate before him and said,
"Your food is ready, sir.
Thank you.
Do you want extra pepper?
No, thank you.
Enjoy."
Do I look like someone who can survive extra pepper?
You look like someone who thinks money can solve everything.
That is a dangerous first impression.
Is it? Is it wrong?
Maybe not completely.
Then eat first. Pepper will humble you better than advice.
Huh, all right.
You really don't know who I am?
Should I?
No, actually, I like that you don't.
That small conversation became the beginning of something Emeka did not expect. He returned the next day, then the next week, then almost every Friday. At first, Aisha thought he came because he liked her food, but slowly she realized Emeka was not hungry for rice. He was hungry for honesty. Around Aisha, Emeka did not have to perform wealth. He did not have to pretend to be strong. He did not have to laugh loudly so people would think he was happy. Aisha listened differently. When Emeka spoke, she heard what he did not say. She heard the loneliness behind his jokes. She heard the exhaustion behind his ambition. She heard the fear behind his confidence. And Emeka began to trust her. He told her about his late father, about the family business, about the pressure from his mother, about Sandra, the woman everyone expected him to marry. Sandra was from a wealthy family. She dressed like a magazine cover. She spoke like every sentence had passed through perfume. Mrs. Okafor loved her because Sandra looked like status. But Emeka knew the truth. Sandra loved attention. Sandra loved luxury. Sandra loved being seen beside a powerful man. But Aisha loved quietly. She asked if he had eaten. She reminded him to rest. She corrected him when he was arrogant. She prayed for him without announcing it. And because real love is often too simple for greedy people to understand, Emeka's family immediately misunderstood her. The first time Emeka brought Aisha home, Mrs. Okafor looked at her from head to toe like she was inspecting a cheap item in the market. Aisha greeted respectfully. Mrs. Okafor did not answer with warmth. She only asked one question. "Which family are you from?" From that moment, Aisha knew she had entered a house where love was judged by background, not character. Kelechi smiled at her, but his smile had mockery inside it. Sandra heard about Aisha and laughed. To them, Aisha was not a woman, she was a threat, a poor girl standing too close to a rich man, and in their world that could only mean one thing: gold digger.
So, Aisha, what do you do?
I run a food business, Ma.
Food business? As in restaurant?
How inspiring.
Sandra.
What? I said inspiring.
And your parents?
My father is late. My mother sells fabrics.
Big bro, you have always liked helping people. But marriage is not charity.
I did not come here for charity. Of course not. You came for love.
Yes.
Soft chuckle.
Some people have never loved without calculating profits, so they think everybody is like them.
Emeka, control your guest.
She is not my guest. She is the woman I love.
That statement changed everything. From that day, Mrs. Okafor stopped hiding her dislike. She warned Emeka privately. She said Aisha was beneath him. She said poor women were dangerous because they entered with humility and left with property. Kelechi added his own poison. He told Emeka that Aisha would trap him with pregnancy. He said she would separate him from his family. He said a woman from nowhere should not become madame over assets their father built. Sandra played a different game. She did not attack openly. She acted concerned. She told Emeka she was only worried. She said love was good, but compatibility mattered. She said a man like him needed a woman who understood his world. But what Sandra really meant was simple. Aisha did not belong. For months, they tried to break Emeka's mind. But Emeka stayed firm. He loved Aisha, and more importantly, he trusted her. Then life tested that trust. A bad investment shook Emeka's company. A major foreign partner pulled out. Contracts failed. Banks began pressuring him. Properties were tied up in legal disputes. Within 1 year, the man everyone praised began to fall. The cars reduced. The parties stopped. The friends disappeared. Phone calls that used to come every hour became silent. Kelechi suddenly became busy. Sandra traveled abroad for space. Mrs. Okafor stayed mostly in the family house, complaining about embarrassment. But Aisha stayed. When Emeka's office was shut down, she sat beside him. When he could not pay some staff, she cooked for them. When his blood pressure rose dangerously, she forced him to see a doctor. When depression began swallowing him, she held his hand and reminded him that a man is more than his bank account. And that was when Emeka understood something painful. Many people loved his harvest. Only Aisha loved his seed.
I have lost everything.
No.
Aisha, look around. Company is gone.
A company can fall and rise again.
My friends are gone.
Then they were visitors, not friends.
Why are you still here?
Because I did not love your chairs, I did not love your cars.
Then what did you love?
You. Cry if you must. But after crying, we rebuild.
Aisha did not just speak, she acted. She reduced her own expenses, sold some of her kitchen equipment, moved her business to a smaller space, used her savings to help Emeka settle urgent debts. She never announced it. She never posted sad pictures online. She never told anyone she was sacrificing. Because people who love sincerely do not turn sacrifice into advertisement. At night, she and Emeka sat together, planning. They reviewed old contacts, studied failed projects, looked for smaller opportunities, started from the bottom again. Emeka, once too proud to ask for help, learned humility. He wore simple clothes, took public transport sometimes, entered offices where people kept him waiting for hours, and each time shame tried to swallow him, Aisha reminded him, start again does not mean start small forever. Slowly, Emeka began to recover, not with sudden miracle, not with overnight riches, with discipline, with patience, with Aisha's steady support. 2 years later, one real estate deal succeeded, then another. Then a logistics partnership revived his cash flow. Then an investor returned. Emeka arose again, but this time he was wiser. He no longer mistook attention for loyalty, but his family did. The moment money returned, they returned too. Kelechi started calling him my blood again. Mrs. Okafor began visiting with food and prayers. Sandra returned from abroad, suddenly claiming she had always believed in him. And when they saw Aisha still standing beside him, their hatred became worse, because her presence reminded them of their absence. So they attacked the only thing they could attack, her reputation. They called her patient. Then they called her strategic. Then they called her dangerous. Finally, they gave her the name that followed her everywhere: Gold Digger.
Emeka, you look good.
Thank you.
I heard things are better now.
Yes. God help me.
And Aisha, of course. She is very patient.
She is loyal.
Sometimes patience is just another form of investment.
Careful, Sandra.
A clever woman waits near broken gold before it shines again.
You left when I broke, so don't teach me about who stayed.
Emeka defended Aisha publicly, but privately, the attacks wounded her. Aisha was strong, but she was not stone. Every insult entered somewhere. At church, women whispered. At events, guests stared. Online, anonymous comments appeared. Poor girl secured the bag. She suffered small so she could inherit big. Rich men never learn. Love or calculation? Aisha read some of those comments and cried quietly, not because strangers mattered, but because the people spreading those lies were the same people who abandoned Emeka when he was down. That is one of life's cruelest ironies. People who refuse to carry a burden will still criticize the person who carried it. Emeka wanted to marry Aisha immediately, but Aisha hesitated. She loved him deeply, but she feared entering a family that had already sentenced her without trial. Emeka promised to protect her. He said his family would eventually understand, but Aisha knew something Emeka did not fully understand. Some people do not want truth. They want a version of the story that keeps them innocent. Then sickness came. At first it looked like exhaustion. Emeka fainted during a meeting. Doctors ran tests. More tests followed. Then the diagnosis arrived like thunder. A rare heart condition. Serious, expensive, dangerous. The family panicked publicly. But when medical bills started coming, their love became quiet again. Kelechi complained about business expenses, Mrs. Okafor cried but contributed little, Sandra visited with flowers, took pictures, and left before evening. Aisha stayed, day after day, night after night, hospital chair after hospital chair. She fed him, bathed him, prayed over him, argued with doctors, paid deposits, sold her remaining business assets, borrowed money, refused to leave. And still, they called her a gold digger.
Aisha,
I'm here.
you look tired.
You look stubborn.
How much is left to pay?
Don't worry about that.
What did you sell?
Your restaurant?
No, I sold it for us.
Why?
Because I would rather start over with you alive than keep a business and bury you.
They don't deserve you.
As Emeka's sickness grew worse, the family's true nature became louder. Kelechi began asking about documents, not treatment, documents. He wanted to know who controlled company shares if Emeka died. Mrs. Okafor began pressuring Emeka to remove Aisha from his life before it was too late. Sandra returned often, but not with love, with strategy. She wore soft colors, spoke gently, held Mrs. Okafor's hand, called Emeka my first love when Aisha was not in the room. Together they created a plan. They wanted Aisha pushed away before the will was finalized. They told Emeka she was only waiting for inheritance. They said she had manipulated him while he was weak. They said no woman sells everything unless she expects to collect double. But Emeka knew. He knew who stayed. He knew who paid. He knew who prayed. So before his condition worsened, he called Barrister Johnson. Quietly, he gave instructions. He recorded a video. He signed documents. He prepared the truth like medicine for the day lies would become too loud. Aisha knew nothing. She only continued loving him. One night, Mrs. Okafor came to the hospital and found Aisha sleeping on a plastic chair beside Emeka's bed. Instead of seeing sacrifice, she saw threat. Instead of love, she saw competition. She woke Aisha violently. And what happened that night broke Aisha's heart completely.
Wake up.
Ma!
Pack your things and leave.
Leave! Emeka needs...
Now. My son needs peace, not a woman waiting for him to die. How can you say that? Because I know girls like you. You know nothing about me. I know you came poor. I know you stayed when money returned.
I stayed when the money disappeared.
Enough!
Aisha, please don't make this ugly. Sandra, you disappeared for 2 years. And yet I am family. No, you are convenient.
Security is outside. Don't force us.
Get out now.
You are sending me away from the man I helped keep alive?
You helped because you were investing.
May God never let you understand this pain. Go.
Aisha left the hospital that night with a small bag and a broken heart. Rain fell heavily. She walked alone to the roadside and cried under a closed shop. Not because she was weak, but because love had cost her everything, and the people who gave nothing had the power to send her away. For 3 days, she was not allowed to see Emeka. His phone was taken, his room was restricted. The nurses were instructed not to let her in. But love has its own path. On the 4th night, Emeka bribed a young nurse with kindness and desperation. He asked her to call Aisha. When Aisha arrived secretly, she found him weaker than ever. His eyes were tired, his voice was low, but when he saw her, peace entered his face. That night, Emeka told Aisha what he had never said so clearly. He told her she was the only person who truly loved him. He apologized for the pain his family caused. He promised that even if he did not survive, the truth would not die with him. Aisha begged him not to speak like that, but Emeka knew. Sometimes the body understands farewell before the heart accepts it. 3 days later, Emeka died, and before Aisha could even mourn properly, the family began their final cruelty. They blocked her from funeral arrangements, removed her name from everything, told people she had been chasing inheritance, said Emeka ended things before he died. Sandra stood beside Mrs. Okafor in black lace, pretending to be the grieving woman. Kelechi welcomed guests like the new head of the family, and Aisha stood outside the cemetery in the rain, called a gold digger by people who had already started dividing a dead man's property.
Emeka,
You came.
I will always come.
They hurt you.
Don't worry about me.
That is the problem. You never worry about yourself.
Please save your strength.
Listen to me.
You were there when I had nothing. You were there when death started calling my name.
Stop.
No, I need you to hear it. You are not a gold digger.
You are the only gold I ever had.
Please don't leave me.
I already left something behind.
What?
Truth.
Back at the cemetery, after Barrister Johnson announced that Emeka had left instructions, the entire family became restless. Mrs. Okafor frowned. Kelechi looked disturbed. Sandra adjusted her black veil nervously. Aisha stood silently, wet from the rain, still clutching the old envelope Emeka had given her during their final secret meeting. Nobody understood what was happening. But greed has ears. The moment they heard will, everyone suddenly became alert. The family moved from the cemetery to the Okafor mansion, the same mansion where Aisha had once been insulted. This time, she entered quietly and sat at the back. Sandra sat near Mrs. Okafor as if she owned grief. Kelechi sat forward, his fingers tapping impatiently. Barrister Johnson opened his briefcase. But before he read the will, he played a video. Emeka appeared on the screen, thin, weak, but clear-eyed. The room froze. Mrs. Okafor screamed his name. Aisha covered her mouth. Kelechi leaned forward. Sandra went pale. Then Emeka began to speak.
If you are watching this, then I am gone.
My son!
Please do not cry too loudly, Mama. Some tears arrive late. I know what many of you said about Aisha. You called her a gold digger. You said she wanted my money.
But when I lost everything, she stayed. When sickness entered my body, she sold her business to keep me alive.
Mama, you sent away the only woman who loved your son without condition. Kelechi, you asked about my documents more than my pain.
Sandra, you loved my surname more than my soul. And Aisha.
I am sorry they made you suffer for loving me. You never came for gold. You were the gold.
By the time the video ended, the room had changed. The same people who mocked Aisha could no longer lift their eyes. Truth had entered the mansion like fire. It burned pride. It burned lies. It burned false mourning. Mrs. Okafor cried uncontrollably, but her tears could not undo the nights Aisha slept on hospital chairs. Kelechi wiped his face, but shame had already found him. Sandra stared at the floor, finally exposed. Then Barrister Johnson opened the will. Everyone held their breath. The room expected money, properties, shares, companies. But Emeka's final decision shocked them even more. He left his personal home to his mother, so she would never be homeless.
He left a modest trust for Kelechi, but placed it under strict financial control because he did not trust his greed. He left nothing to Sandra, not because he hated her, but because she was never truly his. Then came Aisha. To Aisha, Emeka left controlling shares in his revived company, his private investment portfolio, and the foundation he had created in her name. But the greatest gift was not the money. It was the foundation's purpose: to support women who had sacrificed silently and been mocked for surviving. On the first page of the foundation document, Emeka had written one sentence: "For every woman whose love was called ambition, because poor people are not allowed to have pure hearts." Aisha broke down, not because she was rich now, but because at last someone had told the truth.
To my mother, I leave the Ikoyi residence.
Emeka,
The residence is yours.
To my brother Kelechi, I leave a managed trust. Funds will be released only under supervision.
What?
Those were his instructions. He didn't trust me.
Did you give him reason to?
To Sandra Williams, I leave forgiveness, but no inheritance. And to Aisha Bello, I leave the controlling shares of Okafor Legacy Group, my private investments, and the Isha Bello Foundation.
No! This cannot be valid! It is valid. Witnessed, signed, recorded, registered.
So she gets everything?
This is outrageous!
You can't do this!
No. She receives what Emeka said she already gave him.
what is that?
A second chance at life.
In the weeks that followed, the story spread everywhere. People who once mocked Aisha suddenly praised her. Those who called her gold digger now called her strong. Those who laughed at her tears now use her story as motivation. But Aisha did not enjoy the attention. Public approval meant little after private pain. She had lost Emeka. No amount of money could replace the sound of his voice. No property could hold her hand at night. No company shares could call her name softly. That is what greedy people never understand. To someone who truly loves, inheritance can feel like an echo, a reminder of what was lost. Still, Aisha honored Emeka. She rebuilt her food business, not because she needed it, but because it reminded her where love began. She expanded the foundation. She paid hospital bills for struggling families. She supported widows. She helped women start businesses. And quietly, she became everything Emeka knew she could become. One evening, Mrs. Okafor visited her, not with pride, not with insults, but with regret heavy on her face. Aisha allowed her in. The silence between them carried years of pain. Mrs. Okafor sat down and began to cry.
Aisha. Good evening, Ma. I don't deserve to sit here. Maybe not.
I called you names. I sent you away from my son when he needed you most. Yes, you did. I thought I was protecting him. No, you were protecting your pride.
Can you ever forgive me?
I forgave you before you came.
Then why does it still hurt this much?
Because forgiveness does not erase memory. You saw sacrifice and called it strategy. You saw love and named it ambition. I was wrong. Not hate you, but I can add you did not break something in me.
What can I do?
Learn.
As Mrs. Okafor left that evening, Aisha stood by the window and watched the sun disappear behind the city. For the first time in months, she did not cry. Not because the pain was gone, but because she had finally made peace with it. She had loved a man when he had everything. She had loved him when he had nothing. She had loved him when sickness came. She had loved him even when his own people pushed her away. And in the end, the truth stood up for her. That is why we must be careful before judging people from the outside. Not every poor woman beside a rich man is hunting for money. Not every quiet sacrifice is manipulation. Not every woman who stays is waiting to collect. Sometimes, the person everybody suspects is the only one with a pure heart. Sometimes, the one they call a gold digger is the only one who would still love you if the gold disappeared. And sometimes, the people shouting, "She wants your money," are only angry because they wanted it first. Thank you for watching, sweet folks. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another sweet and captivating story from us. Tell us in the comments, was Aisha right to forgive Emeka's family, or should she have walked away from them forever? Also, let us know where you're watching from. Your voice matters here. And if you'd like to learn how to create powerful African folktale and cinematic storytelling content like this, the sweetest faceless content blueprint is live. Stay and enjoy more stories on this channel. We remain the one and only sweetest African folktales. Love you, sweet folks.